This is the story of the Saturday afternoon great chocolate chip cookie caper. Most of you know I never had children, so stepping into a grandmother role is new to me. And guess what? There's no how-to on YouTube. When Cristel, my Ecuadorean nieta, wanted to practice English with her abuelita, I thought baking chocolate chip cookies, something I haven't done for at least 20 years, would be fun. Watch and see how we saved this baking disaster. We're going to make chocolate chip cookies. And so we're having trouble measuring the difference between the amount of butter needed in volume to make melted butter in how many ounces. It's math, which I hate, but she's really good at. And we discovered that on the butter packet, 1 teaspoon equals 18, or I'm sorry, 1 cup, TZA for taza, equals 18 of these little
Cucharaditas. Cucharaditas. 18 cucharaditas.
Here we have a variety of chocolate that we've pulled from the refrigerator that we're cutting to make our own chocolate chips. Since you can't buy chocolate chips in Ecuador in a package like we're used to seeing in the US. And I have shown Cristel how to use the chef's knife and hold it the way Chef Mark does. And mind your fingers right here. There we go. She now has the correct French cutting technique down, and we are making our own chocolate chips. Now we're putting 3/4 of a cup of sugar in the mixing bowl. We've cut up all the chocolate chips and we've given ourselves a reward of a little bit of chocolate to eat.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're adding 2 eggs. This is Gertie Italiano's recipe for chocolate chip cookies. And I've explained to Cristel that this is probably the most popular cookie in the United States. But they don't have them here, so she has not made these. She's not had these before.
Yeah. 2.
Now we're adding 2 teaspoons of vanilla.
1. 2.
Excelente. Next we need 1 cup of panela. This is the raw sugar that we have here in Ecuador that we use a lot. It looks kind of like brown sugar, but it doesn't taste quite as strong. And now we're adding the cup of panela to our wet mixture. And then she's going to whisk that all up and mix that all up in there nicely. Now we're adding our dry ingredients in a separate bowl, and that's 2 cups of flour, and what's it say over here? 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda and a teaspoon of salt. 1 teaspoon of salt. No, this is the salt, and so this is the teaspoon. So 1 teaspoon of salt, even at the top. Yeah, not so much. Here. You want it to be even at the top, like that. Okay. And now the 3 of these. That equals 3/4 of a teaspoon, and that's and you want it again level at the top. Level like that. Yes, excellent. 3 of those. Perfect. Now we're adding all the dry ingredients to the wet mixture. Just pour it all in there. There you go. There you go. And then with the whisk, here's the whisk again, you're going to mix all that up. So go ahead and take a taste from your finger, from the whisk. There you go. This is the best part. And when that's done, like 350 degrees in the US, Okay, so it looks like we messed up the recipe because all of our cookies have run together in the oven. So I called Gertie and we talked about it, and it looks like we mismeasured the butter. So we have too much butter, so we put all the cookies from our second sheet back in the bowl, and now we're going to add more flour and see if that doesn't make them bake up more like cookies. So much for the Gringa cooking teacher. Well, this is how it came out of the oven, and as Gertie says, with butter and chocolate chips and sugar, you can't go wrong. So as soon as this cools, we'll attempt to cut it into really cool looking little squares. And in the meantime, we've added more flour to the rest of the cookie batter, about 1.5 cups. And I have explained to Christelle the concept of eyeballing the measurements, so she has a new word for her English vocabulary now, eyeball. And we're going to set up another tray of cookies and see how this comes out the second time. So we've chopped these up a little bit with a spatula, and when they cool a little more, then we'll just chop them into more pieces. And we've already taste tested them. And if you don't look for a round cookie and you just eat it, it tastes really good. And now we are working on our second tray of cookies to go in the oven. And we have a lot higher hopes for this batch. Okay, so here we have a plate of chocolate chip pieces, cookie pieces, and actually they're quite good. And then over here we have the second tray that came out, and these look a lot more like chocolate chip cookies. So we're letting these cool, and then we will taste them and see how the two experiments compare.